Hi, in this session we're going to see how easy it is to collect and manage submissions from users. Financial Driver uses the concept of worksheets to collect data, and these are set up from the administrator's menu. In our example, we're selecting a workflow worksheet, which means it will be tracked by Financial Driver and will include an approval process. To set one up, we give it a name. In this case, I'm calling it the Budget 2014, and I select whether or not it uses the optional dimension, which in our case it doesn't. The version of data I want to collect, well, this is going to be the budget. The year for which the budget is going to be collected, which is 2014. The schedule. In this case, I'm choosing the general expenses. The deadline for when the return is to be submitted. The accounts within the selected schedule. In this case, I'm selecting everything. The entities I want to collect data from. Again, I'm going to select them all. Whether I want to include a comparison, well, I'm going to select a forecast version for that. And lastly, what periods within the year are to be entered. As this is a budget, I'm going to select them all. But if it was a forecast, I could select just a few months. Financial Driver now builds a data entry grid with the combination of accounts and entities that were selected. Above the grid is a button that will distribute portions of the grid to individual users based on their security and access rights. Well, that's it. Financial Driver will now notify all the users and provide them with links to just their portion of the database. And if I go to the home page, I can see the individual sheets and their status. As I've just requested the data, all the sheets are still in the Not Started column. Let's turn our attention now to what users would see. I'm logging out and going to log back in as Sue. This was the person that we set up in the last session who was responsible for Africa. When she logs in, she only sees what has been assigned to her. In this case, it's the submission for Africa. As she selects the sheet, it opens up a spreadsheet-like interface where we can enter data. Now, there are various shortcut codes where we can replicate data across the grid, or where data can be spread. There are also options for copying and pasting data to and from Excel. Let's enter a few more numbers. To save the data, I hit the Save option. This causes the system to submit the data to the central database and for any formulae to be calculated. These are shown as blue lines on the screen. When I exit the data entry grid, I can see that the sheet has moved from the Not Started section into the Started section. This means I can go back and amend the data at any time, which I'm going to do now. Once the data is complete, I can select the Submit option. This locks me out from making changes to the data and sends an email to the person responsible for approving my submission. Now let's log in as the person who approves submissions. Like Sue, this person can only see what he has been authorized to do. In our case, it is to review the Africa submission. Selecting the sheet displays the data that was entered, and where he can now choose to approve or reject it. Rejecting the submission places it back with the submitter to make changes, while approving it signals that the data is complete and ready for the consolidation. To end this section, let's once again log back in as the administrator. Here I can see our submission for Africa is now in the Approved section. So as you can see, Financial Driver is able to manage requests for data and track progress from submission through to approval simply and easily.